Peter Eelman first became involved with IMTS in the 1980s as an exhibitor, and here as the Vice President of Exhibitions and Communications with AMT, he's been overseeing the show since 1996. How are you today, Peter?
Good. How are you, Penny?
I'm fantastic. So everything about IMTS 2012 was fantastic. What kind of feedback have you been hearing?
Well, it's really gratifying to have a show like IMTS reach the height that IMTS 2012 did. You saw, as being on site with IMTSTV, it was a show that kind of from the first moments we had a feeling, a buzz, a excitement that we hadn't felt in many years. We've had good shows, we've had very interesting times, ups and downs, but IMTS 2012 felt different. It felt like manufacturing is really taking a hold again in the U.S. and that was evidenced by some of the numbers in registrations that we haven't seen in a dozen years, really, since 2000.
That's wonderful news. Is there any one thing that you really think stood out this year?
Well, I think it was a combination rather than one thing. I think what we're seeing is that manufacturing in general is beginning to kind of grasp things like reshoring and finding ways, understanding that it's innovation and efficiency that is going to drive successful manufacturing. And the fact that that's being understood by the manufacturers themselves is a really good sign for long-term growth in the United States. We're excited about what the show said.
Very much so. So while you were at the show, the announcement came down that you signed with Deutsche Messe for another year with the IANA, Industrial Automation North America. What kind of feedback did you get from that?
Well, this was something that we've for many years developed a partnership with Deutsche Messe to bring their industrial automation shows into IMTS. It's a very successful show series around the world. It's never been done in the United States. But it brings in an element that's very close to the typical IMTS audience, but not exactly. It expands it a little bit. We brought in some fluid power companies. We brought in some industrial automation, that type of company. And that technology is really a good complement to IMTS. In their first effort at this show, they oversold the space we'd allotted to them, and they brought us some fresh new visitors as well. All of which the feedback we're getting is tremendous. They really thought the show was worth their time. So that's going to help us grow long term. As we were happy and IANA was happy, we decided that rather than kind of wait, let's just tell the world right at the show. And we did a press conference and a signing that as we look forward to IMTS 2014, they're going to be a strong partner again. And in fact, we're allotting even more space to the IANA part of IMTS, the Industrial Automation North America segment.
Very exciting. Good expansion for IMTS, I think. So another really eye-catching thing on the floor, of course, was that car build in the Emerging Technology Center. So what are we doing with the cars now?
Well, the cars are, they've made a successful return here to McLean, Virginia. We've got a few things to do to get them chartered and legal and get the license plates put on them. The IMTS 2012 blue car is going to have a little peel job done, and we're going to take that 12 and make it 14. So you'll see plenty of that car in the near future. And then we're looking at some options for the silver car, the one that was actually built on site. That one is, it's got to be chartered yet. That one is not quite finished. But we were able to drive it right out of the hall. I was an eyewitness. We started it up as soon as the show broke and drove it down the aisle and out of McCormick Place and into a tractor trailer. So it runs and operates. It's, as I said, it's here in Virginia, and we're investigating a few different uses for it. One of which may be as part of our initiatives in the educational area. We'll be taking the car to some of our student functions and kind of an outreach as part of our Smart Force Development program.
Yes, also the Student Summit went very well this year too, so that's another good part of that to keep it going. So as you're looking toward 2014, what sort of elements are you considering as you plan that show?
Well, you know, we start to look at things that both in the general manufacturing environment and in the general economy are factors that we might look at as baselines for things like the Emerging Technology Center. And something that's kind of rolling around in our heads right now is energy and uses of energy. So as we're starting the planning of the Emerging Technology Center 2014, I think you'll see things like electric and battery and wind power and those types of things featured in some way that relates to our manufacturing world.
Very good. So it seems almost hard to believe because it feels like IMTS just closed, but the deadline for initial space applications just passed. When is that going to be ready?
We are very excited actually about the response already. We're most of the way to 1 million square feet already, just in the on-time applications. There's still a week or two that we're sifting through, so if you haven't gotten your app in, get it in right now so that you can get in that initial draw. What we'll be doing over the next several months is grouping all the applications into the various pavilions. Then we take a look at the size requests and various special needs of the exhibitors, and we begin the process of doing the 2014 layout. IMTS is very different. We do not have kind of points or space allocation system that rigidly locks people in place. We do our best to accommodate needs and accommodate requests. We've got some different sizes and different needs for some of the exhibitors based on the weight of their equipment. So we group all that together and study it from about now, November, through the end of the year. And we'll be testing some of our initial space layouts in January or so. The space assignments for 2014 are generally released about the first week in April of 2013.
So one last question here. IMTS has signed with McCormick through the next few years. Give us the breakdown on that.
Well, shortly after IMTS, really just about 10 days after we left town, we had a quick return to Chicago, and we had a press conference with Mayor Rahm Emanuel. And we were very pleased to join with the National Restaurant Association in announcing that our two shows, which were a major participant in the recent labor reform and building reform, we were agreeing to extend our leases for a couple of more shows. That's a good faith gesture for two sides that we really worked together and developed a better future for McCormick Place. And we wanted to show tangibly that, hey, this is where we want to be, this is where we want to be long term, and we're willing to make that commitment. So IMTS now is set at Chicago all the way through the year 2020.
Great news for the city and good news for IMTS too.
It is indeed. We're excited about it because this is really the first show that we were fully able to take advantage of several of the reforms and changes that took place over the last several years. And the exhibitors really, really benefited. It was a very comfortable, very controlled move in and move out. We had very little problems as far as working together. Everyone really understood on all sides that it's in everybody's best interest to cooperate and put together a really great event. And you saw the result. It was really first class on all respects, and we want to be there because that is an audience